So as an Ohio State fan going into this game, there are two things top of mind that I want to address here. And these are not the only two things, but these are just the top of mind things. Let's start with red zone offense for Ohio State. If you're an Ohio State fan or if you've watched Ohio State play this year, there's no sugarcoating the fact that the red zone offense hasn't been great. At best, it's been inconsistent. You could say it's a lack of execution, offensive line play. You could say the play calling isn't great. It could be a combination of all those things. I don't know. I don't care. It hasn't been good enough. It hasn't been the worst in the country. That's not what I'm saying, but it has been far from crisp. And even against Michigan, like that first drive in the red zone, just stall, and they get a field goal out of it. So just knowing that Ohio State's red zone offense is not crisp and clean, going into this game, they're going up against Indiana, who, according to the Bill and Doug show, which, by the way, if you are not watching Bill and Doug, and if you like Ohio State football, go check them out. They do a great job. I think Bill said today that Indiana has the best red zone defense in the country. And if I'm misquoting him, my apologies. Maybe they're one of the best. But the point is, this is an Ohio State offense that isn't great in the red zone going up against an Indiana defense that is great. So that's a concern. And not that I'm expecting Ohio State's offense to sputter every single time they get in the red zone, but I just have that in the back of my head going into this game. Now, the good news is I'm hopeful that the passing offense is going to be just a little bit more crisp and clean. And not that it wasn't crisp and clean against Michigan. I mean, they connected on some deep shots down the field, so that was fine. The pass game was actually really good and efficient, but there's something different about playing inside. You're not outside in the snow. You're not in the elements. You're on a fast track indoors. And I think Ohio State's offense is going to let loose a little bit. And hopefully we see, I don't know, not that I'm hoping for RPOs, but before halftime in the Michigan game, when, you know, that perfectly called play and that concept, like that double route with Brandon Inniss in the tight end. I don't know if it was Max Clare. I'd have to go back and watch that. But that score right before halftime, where basically you had the tight end and Brandon Inniss running the same route. And that was just a perfect play call, perfect execution. And that's what Ohio State does when they're at their best in the pass game. And I think they can do more of that in the red zone. And now that they're playing, you know, in the Big Ten championship game, it's inside, it's on a fast track. I think that passing attack is going to be lethal, and I think they're going to open it up a little bit more in the red zone. And then the second thing top of mind is not that this is going to be a letdown game, and not that I'm expecting a letdown game, but you finally get the win over Michigan, an emotional win, a physical game. Ohio State dominated them physically, but still, it's just, it wears on you in a sense, and it is a relief, I think, off their shoulders as a program, as players, as coaches, as Ryan Day, all of that. But I don't know. It's not that was the peak, and not that the Big Ten championship game doesn't matter. Like, I'm not saying any of those things are true, but letdown games are real. And I don't think Ohio State will come out flat for an entire game, but would anyone be surprised if they came out a little flat on the first couple offensive drives? If Indiana goes up 7-0, 10-0, am I going to be shocked? Not necessarily. If I had to give my score prediction right now, which I'm not great at score predictions, I stay away from them, but I'm kind of feeling like a 24-20 Ohio State win. I think that feels kind of right. I don't really know how to read this game, to be honest. I'm not expecting an absolute letdown game from Ohio State. I think they're indoors. The pass game is going to be crisp. Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, they're going to play. The run game has finally gotten going in the second half of the year. But sometimes it's almost inevitable where you have a letdown game, or at least a slow start following a big win like that against Michigan. Now, here's the thing with this Ohio State team. I can't recall another team that is so, professional-like, business-like, composed. Last year's team was great. It really was. But this year's team, the demeanor, like the emotional maturity of this year's team just feels different. And so maybe they do start a little flat on offense. Maybe they do get down, 7-0 early. But I think this team is going to be resilient. They could come back in that game. And I just can't help but shake the feeling that red zone offense, I want to see it a little pass heavy. Going up against a really good red zone defense in Indiana, it might be a little bit of a struggle. We'll have to kind of see how that chess match plays out. But then also the start for this Ohio State team. Is there any hangover? Is there anything left over from the Michigan game? And even if there is, I'm confident they'll pull themselves out of it. But I'm just kind of almost mentally prepping for, hey, if I see a little bit of a slow start, it's okay. It makes sense. I think Ohio State gets the win.